Hello dear World of Warcraft friends, welcome back to a new video on my channel. Today we're diving into the single target kings of patch 12.1. Because as you probably know, with every patch there are class tunings and class changes. There are new tier sets and so on and so forth, and accordingly the classes have different potential. How much damage they can put out. This video is not about tier lists, but rather a player went to the trouble to sim all the classes at the maximum possible item level. So we are talking about 330 plus here with 4-piece tier set and so on. And he checked which classes and specs are able to deal the most damage. And that's what we are going to look at in this video. If you like, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Next, we are aiming for 38,000. That would be really awesome. And with that, let's get started. One thing you have to say right away is that this is extremely melee heavy. And actually, the current kings would be sub-rogues with around 270,000 simulated DPS. Here too, it has to be said that all of this can and will of course still change due to class balancing. But as of now, there are a lot of melee classes at the top and the gap between first and last place is huge. There's an 80,000 DPS difference between them. Other than that, we see here Devourer, Demon Hunter is included, and it also always shows which hero talent spec is performing better. So here you can see, for example, for the Subtlety Rogue, it's Deathstalker. Here it's Void Scarred. After that comes the next rogue spec with Outlaw, and then the Fury Warrior. With the exception of the Devastation Evoker, in this list we really only have melee on the first 15 spots. And as I already said, that's pretty crazy. The list just keeps going like that for a while, and you can see it here. It takes a while until a ranged DPS shows up. After that, we have Feral Druids, Windwalker Monks, then comes the next sub-rogue, then comes an Elemental Shaman, Hunter, so marksmanship. After that comes the Melee DH. And for example, also Unholy DK. That's also quite interesting, even though many people generally consider Unholy to be better. This season, Frost is apparently better in single target. We have Assassination Rogue, Windwalker Monk, and again an Evoker, Devastation Evoker. Scale Commander is there as well. Yeah, what can I say? The picture with the DPS is, like I said, very striking. After that, we have the not so good hero talent specs from other melee classes here. Then you can also see Survival and Beastmaster Hunter here. They are basically right in the middle of the pack. But even there, you can already notice mid-tier specs like the Beastmaster Hunter are at 43k DPS behind the top performer. That's already, yeah, let's say it like it is, that's quite a lot. Generally, anything over a 10 difference would be a lot. That's more than 10%. And it's going to get even worse. Balanced Druid also shows up in the middle of the pack with 225,000 DPS. But it was already clear before that you can't really expect much in single target. Shadow Priest also shows up there and slowly ushers in the bottom third. Enhancement Shaman is in there, then Destro Warlock, Fire Mage, Enhancement Shaman again, Arms Warrior as Colossus, then comes Frost, so whatever. No matter what you play, Frost apparently isn't that good for single target in this season. In general, things don't look so good for mages, and if you want to do strong single target damage, for example in a raid, you'll probably have to play Arcane. The last spots are also filled. Red Paladin is in there too, Affley Lock, Demo Lock. Beast Mastery Hunter is basically in last place. I know, theoretically, that would be Devastation Evoker as Flame Shaper, but the Sims didn't really work for that, so you can't really take that value too seriously. 113,000 DPS. It'll probably end up being a bit more than that. And yeah, that's not all. We can also take another look at the tanks here, and that's also somewhat relevant because especially at higher keys, the more damage a tank can bring, the better. Here we see, right at the top is the Prot Warrior with the Colossus. 162,000. A solid 15k lead over the Guardian Druid. So, many people suspected that Blood Decay would be meta. But if the warrior is pumping out that much damage and maybe gets one or two buffs for his defense, who knows? Who knows if that might even change a bit by then. So, that's also possible. Guardian Druid is doing well. Then basically the third class is the Vengeance Demon Hunter, and from there the classes and specs are already a bit closer together. But even here, there's already a gap of 23,000 DPS to fast place. That's quite a lot for tanks. And especially single target isn't really the standard area where tanks can shine. So that's pretty solid. Otherwise, Prot Paladin, after the nerfs, is kind of hanging around in the middle of the pack. Blood Death Knight is still one of the weakest DPS, and here too we see a mistake because the monk couldn't be properly logged here either. So you couldn't really follow it properly. Yeah, so what do we make of this list now? Honestly, not that much for now. It's going to be most important for people who are raiding. Especially if you're raiding Mythic, especially at the beginning with the first bosses, it does make sense. If you're struggling here and there to pick a spec that's better in single target, so expect that in the race toward first, we'll probably only see one Warlock. That will probably be something like Destro, so in single target fights. Um, and yeah, even for a Ret or an Arms Warrior, it could be, depending on what's being played. It could definitely be close, but we'd have to watch that more closely. Yeah, those are the data we have right now. What do you think about it? Feel free to write it in the comments. So, yeah, does that influence your choice of class, or do you say, I honestly couldn't care less? Feel free to write it in the comments. And as soon as there are updates, we'll take another look at the whole thing. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Have a good one and take care.